Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to your check-in follow-up for week 3. So we are going into week 4 now. I sent you out an email yesterday just regarding tracking progress. I said it at the beginning about taking photos or measurements. If you do have a fat loss or body composition goal, most people don't want to do that. Even though you don't need to share those with me, most people don't want to do that. But sometimes if you're just using scales to track your progress, you don't really get the full picture. For example, you can actually end up being heavier on the scale than when you started a strength training program because you've built more muscle. But you can look totally different, and you would only know that if you had measurements or photos as a reference point. So now that you've done 3 weeks, if you've been consistently following the program, then it might be that you're starting to see some changes now that might not necessarily be showing up on the scale. So after 3 or 4 weeks, that's usually a good time to do a little update of your measurements or your photos, and then you can just see if anything is happening there. So if you have done that, then it might be a good time to do that at some stage this week or at the beginning of week 5. So that will be 4 weeks done. Thank you so much for everybody that checked in. I had some really good questions, and interestingly, quite a lot of them about exercise, which is very good timing because the theme of this week's informational content is going to be all around exercise. So well timed. So I'm going to just jump straight into some of these were more comments that I picked out that I thought would be good mentioning rather than questions. The first one I want to start with was more of a comment, and it was just about finding the workouts harder when dealing with symptoms of PMS. So I have probably ranted about this before, but I'm going to get on my little high horse again. There is a lot of kind of conflicting information that you might find out there online about how to train around your period. And there is research being done, which I think is fantastic because hardly any research has been done on women when it comes to exercise science. Turns out we're quite complicated folk with our hormones up and down all over the place. So most exercise science research has always traditionally been done on men for that reason. Now, they are starting to do more research on women, which is great, and I really support that. But I just feel like with this kind of stuff, some of the stuff that's coming out where they're saying you should train really heavy when you're bleeding, or you should not touch a weight while you are in your luteal phase. You know, there's such real strong statements about what you should or shouldn't be doing at the various stages of your menstrual cycle. For me, as a person who has had a menstrual cycle for decades, actually don't even know how many years, and somebody that does track my cycle and would consider to be fairly in tune with my body, I know that myself, I do not have the same PMS symptoms month on month. So straight away, the fact that even me as an individual has different symptoms month on month makes me think that general advice is not going to cut it here, because when would I apply that advice if I'm in a different situation myself month on month? And so I just think the best thing that you can do if you have a menstrual cycle and if you suffer from PMS symptoms is to track them. Get in tune with your own body. Download a period tracking app. And on some of them, if you do have quite severe symptoms, you can track your symptoms as well. And just check in with your body. Before I was aware of all of this stuff, I would definitely have massive mood swings and didn't really know why. Now, if I feel myself getting a bit short and a bit angry and a bit snappy, I'll check my app and I'll be like, oh yeah, cool, that makes sense. I'm due on in 7 days. So, you know, it's just kind of, now that I'm starting to know myself, you can kind of figure out where you are. Now, when you know yourself, you also know what your limits are when it comes to exercise and in the gym. And if you are suffering from menstrual cramps, you might actually literally find it challenging to engage your core. I've been so swollen at times and had such painful cramps that I have not actually been able to engage my core. So even if the internet is telling me this is a great time to go and lift heavy weights, there's no chance I'm going to be lifting heavy weights because I won't be able to do so with the correct technique because I literally can't engage my body in that way. So I think when you are experiencing PMS symptoms, especially cramping, especially symptoms that might lead to you not being able to engage your body properly, then you do really need to look at how you are working out. And it might be that you need to adapt your workout in order to meet your symptoms. It might be omitting some exercises. It might just be taking the weight down and coming back to that next week. So don't stress that you have to do everything. Quality over quantity. If you can't do it in the correct way, then don't worry about doing it at all. But do something. Do some movement of some description. So many times if you have got cramps, doing something is going to help you to get the body moving. It doesn't have to be crazy intense, but just doing something, move around, do your mobility stuff, and hopefully that will help to ease it and get you through it and help you feel like you have done something anyway. Anyway, moving on from there, I had a good question about what is more important, or what is best, more weight or more reps? So of course this is still relating to workouts. So what we are basically trying to achieve with our workouts is progressive overload. We need to make sure that we continue to stress the body in order for it to adapt to get stronger. What often happens with a lot of people in the gym that don't really track what they're doing is you might just be on the same weight for years. Like, this is my weight for bicep curls. That's what you do, which is fine if you are maintaining your strength. But if you want to get stronger and build more muscle mass, which is what we do want to do, then you need to be constantly challenging your body. You might find 5 kilos bicep curls challenging, but your body is going to adapt, your muscles will get stronger, and it will get to the point where 5 kilos doesn't challenge you anymore. And that's when we need to add a different type of stress in order to make sure that we do keep challenging your muscles so that they are going to grow back stronger. So there are a few different ways that you can do this. One of them is increasing the weight that you lift. One of them is increasing the reps. And another one is actually increasing the number of sets that you do. Generally, if you're working out following my programs or with me, you're already doing about 3 sets, which is plenty. If you start adding more sets, then you're looking at adding a lot more time to your workouts. And generally, we want to kind of get in, get out, get it done, and move on. So playing around with the weight or the reps is the way to challenge yourself. Now, when you are following my workouts, I tend to give you a rep range, and this is the exact reason why. Ideally, I would like you working more towards the lower end of the rep range that I have given you so that you can build up from there. So for example, let's say I've given you a rep range of 8 to 12 reps. Let's say we're doing the lat pull down. Now, if you're doing the lat pull down 20 kilos and you get to rep number 12 and you don't think that was that hard and you can just keep going, we know that that is too light. In that scenario, you will need to increase the weight. If you increase the weight, let's say we increase it up to 30 kilos, and then you're pulling and you're like, oh shit, I can barely get to 6 reps before I feel like I'm going to be doing this wrong, then you've gone too heavy. Remember, our rep range in this is 8 to 12. So let's say you reduce the weight. Let's say we go for 25 kilos and you're pulling, it's feeling good. Rep 7 is quite challenging. Rep 8 is quite challenging. Do you know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to do rep 9 with good form. Perfect. We have found exactly where we want to be. So it might be that you need to increase your weight to get to that point. But if you can hit 8 reps and it's challenging and you feel like, actually don't think I can do another one, that's your weight that you need to stay at. When you come to do your next workout, that will be your starting weight. Start at 25 kilos and challenge yourself to say, can I do 9 reps today? And that is progression. That is 1 more rep than what you did the previous week, which means you are once again challenging your body. You might find that you come back to do it and you're like, actually, I've got 10 in me today. Again, keep a note of it. The other thing that actually I need to mention, because I do this with myself, it's not always about reps and weight. Sometimes it's about how difficult something is. So I've been working a lot on my Romanian deadlift and I put my weight up to 50 kilos. I was doing my deadlift. I managed to get 10 reps, but it was hard. So in my workout notes, because I keep notes for myself, I wrote down hard. So when I came to do the same workout the following week, I kept the same weight and I aimed for 10 reps again. I did it. And this time I wrote Good. So the fact that the previous week I actually found it really hard, and then the next week I found it, even though it was the same weight and the same rates, I found it good. That's actually an improvement. That is progression. The following week I actually kept it the same, 50 kilos, 10 reps, and I felt so good that I wrote a note to say next week, go heavier. So sometimes progression can actually just be how much better an exercise feels as well. So that's a really long way of answering the question, what is more important, more weight or what reps? It's not that one's more important than the other. It's just that we want to be working within a range, within good form, but also keeping it within an appropriate time frame. So you're not just spending all day at the gym trying to push yourself a bit more. Next question about workouts. So I love this question, and actually you've inspired me to put some cardio workouts in the program. Someone has asked about cardio finishers. So a finisher is something that you would add on at the end of your workout to finish. Go figure. So some people, if they want to increase the amount of cardio that they're doing, rather than doing a cardio session, just want to finish with something. The question was, do I put my cardio at the beginning or after weights, or keep it completely separately? So with cardio, you can totally keep it separate. That's absolutely fine. And you can do heaps of different things for your cardio. You can go for a run, you can go for a brisk walk, you can go cycling, you can play tennis, you can do a class that's a bit more of a high intensity style. You can do spinning. So much stuff that you can do for cardio. You can do dancing. I used to do samba dancing. That was very cardio. So lots of different things that you can do as a completely entirely separate workout. If you do want to tack it on with your weight training, please do it after. The reason for this is your weightlifting is a lot more technical, and we ideally want to be pushing to the intensity that I was just talking about pushing those reps. We need to be fresh to do that. That's more important. So make sure you do your weights first, correct technique so you've got the juice to do that. And then once you finish your weight training, that's when you go and do your cardio finisher. Doesn't matter if your legs are already smashed when you're sprinting on the treadmill, or if you're doing some kettlebell swings, or you're doing a little HIIT circuit, because it's less technical and it doesn't matter as much if you are already tired, because the whole point is that it just makes you even more tired. So cardio at the end of your weightlifting session, always, unless you separate it out. So there's no better or worse there, just whichever works for you and your schedule and the amount of time that you have. Now, squats. There was a question about squats and about how wide do your legs need to be? Where do your feet need to be pointed? I'm actually going to post a separate tutorial video about squats. And if anyone has any other requests for tutorial videos, let me know. I'm going to be recording one when I'm back at the gym tomorrow for Bulgarian split squats on request from somebody. So if you do want to see any other technique videos, let me know. Squats, the reason I'm going to send the video is because I'm actually demonstrating the movement. But something I just want to highlight in here, there is no right or wrong way to do a squat. As in, what I mean by that, there's no universal, these are the right things. And the reason there's no universal one is because we are all different. We've all got different bone structures. We've all got different tightnesses. We've got different weaknesses. So somebody that's got really long legs is going to have a very different squat positioning to somebody that's got short legs and a long torso like me. So it's quite, you don't ideally want to be comparing yourself to other people when it comes to squatting, because you need to squat in a way that works for your anatomy. I have, the way my hips sit in my hip sockets, I have to turn my feet out when I squat. If I have my feet pointing forward, I literally can't get down there because my bones come up against each other and I can't do the movement. But I had a client who can have her feet perfectly straight and she squats down all the way to the floor, ass to grass, with absolutely no resistance there at all. We're all different. Some people have got really wide set hips and they have to have their feet quite spaced wide apart in order to get down into the squat position without feeling any impediment. So it really is individual to you. Most people can improve their mobility, but you can't change your bone structure and your anatomy. So it's about finding what works for your structure. And then it might be that from there, you can improve your squat by improving things like your ankle mobility or your hip mobility, because these are areas that can impede how low you can go in your squat. So look out for that video, which will show you how to set up. But yeah, your legs go where they gotta go for you. And if anybody wants me to have a look at their squat and their setup, if you don't feel too awkward to record yourself doing that in your gym, then please do post it into the group or post it privately to me, and I can have a look at how you're set up and I can give you some tips if you need some. Coaching from afar. Okay, couple of nutrition ones. Someone asked a really good question about water. So when I add things to water, does it still count towards my hydration target? For example, if you add squash or if you add protein powder or protein isolate, will that still count? The answer is yes. So with the hydration, don't get too hung up on the numbers, because the other thing, and this is hard to track, so I don't want you to get crazy about this, but another place that we get water is also from our food. There are some foods that are really hydrating. So if you think of stuff like watermelon is so hydrating, so nice on a hot summer's day. Same with cucumber. These foods have really high water content. So actually those foods do also contribute to how hydrated we are. So although I've given you a target to hit in terms of what you're drinking, you are actually also taking in water from your food as well. But like I said, that's so hard to track. So don't get overwhelmed by this. It's just something to be mindful of, just because dehydration can have such big impacts on us, especially our brain. So staying hydrated is good for our brain, which helps us to live our lives with a lot more energy and vitality. So it's why I do want you to keep an eye on it, but don't go too crazy. But absolutely, adding things to water does still count as water and hydration. Even, I was about to say, even adding alcohol to water. There was a study that actually found that beer is more hydrating than it isn't, because we've all heard that alcohol is a dehydrator, but things like beer, where they've actually mixed it with a lot of water, the net effect is that beer is hydrating. So I'm not telling you that you need to all start drinking beer, but I'm just saying that you can get your water intake from lots of different places. I try to drink my water on top of, I try to have, for me, my body size, I need about 2.5 liters. I try to drink that just water, but I'm drinking coffee and I have milk added to that, but that counts. I have tea. Again, that's water, that counts. So yeah, all of those things will count towards your water intake anyway. So if you are struggling to hit the number that's on your tracker, bear in mind that those things will count as well. So you're probably not too far off. And then we have, again, not really a question, but more a topic. And it was about kind of feeling on the back foot because they weren't prepared with their food preparation and planning. So I guess I just wanted to touch on this more as a topic rather than a response to a question, just to really, if I guess food planning and food preparation isn't something that you've been doing thus far, it's something that I would love to help you start incorporating into your life, because it really is such a game changer in just making it easier to live a healthy lifestyle. The worst thing is getting to the end of the week and going, oh my God, I've got no food. I don't know what to do. I'm knackered because it's been a big week. So now let's just go get takeaways. Or if you start the week without having your fridge stocked and you don't know what you're going to eat and you're kind of on the back foot from when you start. So my recommendation is to set some time aside. I know it takes time, but it will save you time as well. My recommendation is to set some time aside, and this will be different for everybody depending on your work schedules. For me, I do this on a Saturday. I will sit down and I actually write a menu for the week. So my menu, I literally, on a piece of paper, write down the days, ding, 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 lunches and dinners. The reason I do lunches and dinners is because sometimes the dinners that I plan become leftovers. So I make sure I factor all of that in. I don't include breakfast because I eat the same breakfast every day, and so does my partner. Or I mix it up. I've got 2 different breakfasts that I eat, which, if you don't know what they are overnight wheat bix and they are overnight oats. I switch between the 2, and that is my variety. I put different flavored protein powders in. Sometimes I put different berries on top. That's enough variety for me. So I don't need to put that on my menu, but I do put my lunches and my dinners. From my menu, I turn that into a shopping list. And because I am next level, I have a shopping list, a master copy of a shopping list saved into the notes section on my phone. And because I am pro pro planning level, my shopping list is actually in the order of the supermarkets as I walk around. Everything is exactly where I need to be. So I copy my master, paste it into a new notes tab, remove what I don't need, and add in the things that I do need in order to fulfill my menu. And then I go shopping. So that means that I have everything that I need for all of those meals that I've already pre-planned out. It means that come Friday, my fridge is looking pretty empty and pretty bare. But that itself is reducing food waste, which is a massive problem here in New Zealand and probably in the UK. And that saves us money. So if it reduces food waste, saves us money, and means that we can easily meet our protein and nutrition goals, then it is literally worth all of the time that it takes to do that. So my recommendation is find a time that works for you. And the more you do this, the quicker it's going to get. It's not going to take you as much time, although it might take time to start with. It's so hard to think ahead. What do I want to eat in 7 days' time? But once you start finding a series of meals that you enjoy, you know that they're easy to make, you know that they reach your goals, then you can just start churning it out. You don't have to eat different things every single day of your life. We tend to repeat the same things. We have a different meal every evening on my menu, but it's very similar to what we had the previous week because I know it works. I know it fits my goals. I know it fits my plan. And like I said, it also creates lunches from takeaway, from leftovers. So we don't need to get takeaways. We don't need to, I guess, go off track because we've got everything that we need. So yeah, easier said than done when you're super busy. I know that, but it is worth just setting half an hour aside to do that. And then you know exactly what you need to do. And a lot of this stuff is hard. And when you're thinking about what you're eating and trying to potentially eat less or eat in a different way to nourish yourself, then you can find that you're just thinking about it all the time. Whereas if you take that dedicated time to think about it once, you've written your list, when it comes to it, you get home on Monday, you look at your list and go, right, this is what we're having for dinner. Here's everything that I need, done. You don't need to sit and go, oh, what should we have? Oh, what's in the cupboard? Oh, I don't know. Oh, maybe let's just get a pizza. Like, the decision was made. You already made the decision. Past you made the decision. So all you've got to do is just turn up. So however busy your day was, it's there, get it done, eat it. Easy. So you're helping your future self. Okay, that is it. There was also a note just around bedtime routines, setting boundaries, and I think that's another conversation for another day. But do remember that sleep is very important. So we do want to prioritize sleep where we can. And sometimes we need to set ourselves a boundary around that. So that might mean starting a nighttime routine at a certain time, which might require an alarm. So, just something to be mindful of and something that we will come into in a lot more detail soon. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you want any technique videos specifically for you. And if you want me to check your technique on anything, take a video, send it through, and I'll let you know what I think. I will see you soon.